Well, welcome boys and girls. It's me, Mrs. Hicks, your wonderful music teacher, and today I welcome you to join me on my very first lesson about the flute, because this is my big bad instrument and I play this all the time. A lot of you know me as your recorder teacher who had me in the past, so I want to congratulate you for choosing one of the most wonderful instruments in the whole wide world is the flute. So what I want you to do is look at all my lessons, and I'm going to talk about today mainly about how to put the flute together and how to take it apart. Other lessons will be how to hold the flute correctly, how to make a sound, and I plan to just give you, boys and girls, a lot of flute tips and tricks that your wonderful band teachers just don't have time to talk to you about. Because the flute is a challenging instrument to play for sure, and sometimes we need a little extra help and a little extra expertise to tell you what to do, because I want all of you to succeed and just have a great time with this fantastic instrument. So before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about the history of the flute. Most of you have heard it before. It's really fun to play. Basically, it's similar to the recorder, where you are blowing through a hole, and the hole is up here, there's a mouthpiece, and you blow against this edge here, and it creates a sound wave. That's what happens in the recorder. Same thing with the flute. We actually blow across this hole, and the air gets split, just like it happens with a recorder, and it creates a sound wave inside. And then depending on how you put your fingers over the holes, that will change the speed and the length of the sound waves. That gives us the different notes that we hear. Now, as far as the history of the flute, sometimes people will call the oldest instrument ever found in the world a flute, which is basically a hollow tube that was found, oh gosh, over 40,000 years ago. During caveman time, several instruments of broken bird bones were found in Germany and put together. It was similar to this with holes, and they called those flutes. You can Google it and see pictures of them. And then over the thousands of years, the style of the flute changed. And what we call, at first, they were played like this, and then this direction, when you hold it like that, this is called a transverse flute. It means it's held straight up horizontally. And the first transverse flutes were around during the Roman time, a little over 2,000 years ago, with the Etruscan people who were before the Romans. And there are murals of transverse flute playing. So again, blowing into the tube. And back then, they're primarily made out of wood or bone. And today, what we play is with the metal ones. Now, I have just kind of a fun little one that I found at an antique, well, it was at a music store. And this is, yikes, made out of wood, maybe rosewood, I'm not really sure. And this is really old. This was probably played early 1800s is my thought, or maybe at 1850s or so. And it's too big for me. I have really small hands, so when I try to cover the holes, it's really hard for me to do because the holes are spread too far apart for me. So this wonderful musician and composer named Boheme designed, he really loved flutes, and he designed the modern type of flute that we play today, which has all sorts of little key mechanisms because it's hard to spread fingers out to cover holes. So we have this style of keys and where to put your fingers and all that kind of stuff. A lot of, I don't know, springs and all sorts of stuff anyway, so that even little tiny hands like mine can play it. All right, now, this is my wonderful gold flute. It's, I have a gold head joint, and the body is made of gold and silver. All right, so I'm going to put it away in my case, and I'm going to talk about how to put the flute together correctly, because I want you guys to have so much fun with this. Sometimes a lot of kids quit the flute because it is challenging and it's tricky at first, like, oh my gosh, how to hold it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to help you along the way all year long. Okay, so here we go. Pretend you're going to put your flute together. Now, keep in mind that the flute is pretty fragile. It's really easy to mess it up and then suddenly you can't get a sound out of it. And we don't want that, right? So I'm going to show you how to put it together safely in a way that you're not going to hurt it, because we don't want that. So the flute comes in 3 pieces. This is the head joint, okay? And this is called the body. And the last one is called the foot joint. So it comes in 3 pieces. It's really important to learn how to put it together correctly. Otherwise, when you hold it, it's just awful. Here we go. All right. So how I do it is you want to make sure that when you're handling the flute, you don't want to have your fingers, your hand wrapped around the keys. We call these the keys. And doing all this business, because it just messes it up, it bends it. We don't want to do that. So what I do is I usually pick up my head joint first, okay? Then I always wrap my hand around, this is the neck. This is called the neck, it's the top part of this piece. And so when I wrap my hand around it, I'm not covering any of these moving keys. So you can squeeze this all you want. And so what I do then is I'm holding it by the neck, we call that the neck, and then you gently twist the head joint in. You don't want to push it straight down, because when you do that, it makes it looser over time. I've been told by people who fix flutes, whatever you do, just gently twist it in. And I'll show you how to line it up in just a sec. So you're just twisting it on. And again, I'm always holding it by the neck, right? Not down here, not doing this, not doing that. I hold it by the neck because you're not covering the keys. Then what I do is I take the foot joint and I hold it by the end here. And what a lot of people do, and I've seen a lot of kids do this, is they put their hand around, and I used to do it like this. You put your hand around and then shove it on. We don't want to do that. Again, it's a fragile instrument. Now, I have been told, and I didn't learn this until later on, the real proper way to put the foot joint on, okay, is you put it on your hand, and then with your thumb, and it's okay to do this, with your thumb you are depressing both those keys. Just press down on them. You're not going to hurt them, because it helps distribute the energy. Then what you do is, again, you gently twist. You don't shove it in, because it'll make it looser over time, and we sure don't want that. Okay. And then you put it in and you twist it. It's just a gentle twist. That's all it is. Now, let's talk about how to line it up. All right. First of all, you're lining up your foot joint. See that bar? You want that pointed towards the middle of the key it's next to. That little ball there, it's pointing to the middle. What a lot of kids do is they try to line it up. They go like that. It's like, oh, that's pretty. That bar lines up. But then you're going to be a mess when you put your fingers on it. So you really want it about there. See how this lines up to the middle of that key? All right? Then what you do for the top, you want this hole lined up correctly with the keys. How we do that, there's 2 ways. So what you want to do is you want to line up. What I do is I close an eye and I hold it like this, and then I look down the top of the flute all the way down, and you want those keys to be lined up with the center of this hole, of the hole that you're blowing into. You can also do it this way. Again, close an eye, close your eye, and then look down the top of the flute and line up that hole with the center of these keys. So when you do it correctly, what I do is I put 2 little dots. When you have it lined up, for sure, what you do is you just line up those two little dots, and therefore that is lined up. And so when you put it together again, you just look at those two little dots, and I'm going to go over that another time with you. So anyway, again, this hole is lined up to the center of those keys. That's how you do it. Then, okay, what else can I say? That's how to put it together safely. And how to take it apart is really the same way. What I do is, again, I'm holding it by the neck. I'm not squeezing the keys. Hold it by the neck, and then you put your thumb over those two keys, hold it down there and press down. It's okay to do that, and then twist it off. You don't want to do that business, because then this will get loose over time and it'll just fall off, and we don't want that. So then I put it back, and again, I'm holding it by the neck, like so, and then I just twist off the headpiece off of the body, and then you just put it back. Okay, and again, with other lessons, I'm going to talk about, oh gosh, just a lot of stuff, because I want you boys and girls to have so much fun with this. Now, I'm going to have a little fun. My dogs are in here, and Napoleon, my Cocker Spaniel, let's see if I can get him to howl. When I play the flute, especially scales and stuff, he starts to howl. So let me see if I can close out this lesson with a howl. That is so funny. All right, guys. Now, have fun with this. Life is great. I know we are all kind of stuck at home, but we try to make the best out of it, and I'm going to help you with your flute world as much as I can. So I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'll see you next time, okay? Come back, subscribe, come back to me over and over and over again, because I want to see all of you. Bye.